morning, everyone. It's 11 o'clock, which means it's time for our Wednesday edition of 50 Days to 50, episode 28, I think, if you're keeping track. I'm just going to bring her right on because I don't see nearly enough of this spectacular woman in my life. So let's get right to it. Please welcome my friend, Kim Soderholm. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Dana.
How are you?
It's wonderful to be here. I'm really good.
Good. I'm so thrilled to have you here. I've said 100 times on these, or up to 28 times on these, that I very intentionally reached out to really, really close friends and people who I barely know and people who were in my life. And you are one of those people who is super peripheral in my life. I mean, I bet I haven't seen you in person in more than a decade.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah.
I watch you from the sidelines.
Well, that's very kind of you. As my friend Michael says, wow, sometimes I get a little too much Dana. I'm feeling that I'm getting a little too much Dana. So thank you for your indulgence.
But you're kind of one of those people that I can say I haven't seen for a decade, and yet it also feels like no time has passed.
Well, that is true. That is true. We were in a really fantastic women's only supper club together. That was it was at such a beautiful time in my life because I started, I think before, I know it was before Maz and I got married, a couple of months maybe, and then through that period. And so it was just great to be with these women who were all kind of in my age group, but had been married kind of a regular amount of time and had some life experience under their belts. And when I think about you, what I think about is you have hands down, and I don't mean this to add pressure to the conversation, but you have one of the driest senses of humor of anyone I've ever met. And I really love that about you.
That's good. I had a friend say, your humor's not for everyone, but it's for me.
I'm going to second that. I was going to say, boy, it's for me. It's really for me.
But if I say something, sometimes my kids will say, your humor's not for everyone.
Boy, no one can zing you like your kid.
Like your own children.
Yep,
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, Kim, let's jump right into the questions because I know you're going to have great answers and I'm not expecting to be rolling on the floor funny. So don't feel any pressure to
lower the expectation.
I don't want you to feel like you have to also entertain me as well as enlighten me. So what are one or two things that you knew before you turned 50 that have served you really well since turning 50?
You know, I think that there's certain events in your life that start a new chapter, but there's also events in your life that separate your life into an entirely new book, you know? And for me, when I was 32, my brother, who's only a year older than I was teaching overseas, and a man came into the building and killed my brother. And yeah, he was only 33 at the time. And through that experience, first of all, we came out of it knowing people are inherently good. You know, the kindness that our family was shown from where the event happened, the school that it happened in, people he had lived and worked with in Portland and in Arizona and all over. And then, you know, our small church in Bismarck, which coincidentally Marie Sagsveen goes to.
Yeah, lucky you.
Worlds collide. But the incredible kindness our family was shown during that time was incredible. But also when you have a loss, it gives you perspective. You know, I'm thrilled to be getting older. Mm-hmm. I am privileged to be getting older. I laugh because my brother was 33, but he was so worried about his receding hairline. Yeah. And I know. And so now I'm just like, crow's feet, lucky me.
Yeah.
You know, it just changes your perspective that on one hand, there's sort of an obligation. Like I don't want to say make something of this life, but you do recognize the privilege that getting older is,
Yeah,
and we'll go, what's the alternative? Well, actually, we've experienced it.
yeah.
And um, I, I'd rather be getting older.
Wow, I did not know that story
Yeah,
in your life, Kim, and, I loved your setup. There are things that are chapters, and there are things that write whole new books,
right.
and,
Absolutely.
boy, if you're lucky, you are a series of books, not because all of them had to start with something traumatic. Sometimes something
Right.
really extraordinarily fabulous happens
Yes.
too, and that's a new book.
And that's a new book. And sometimes, it's a child or a spouse or a career change or
Yeah,
that type of thing. Um, but to recognize that, those it's accumulation of experiences
yeah,
and and um and all of those things can give you perspective.
yeah, alright. I have been waiting. Here's my mother. Kim, you have a lovely speaking voice and delivery. Very true. I am sorry about your brother, but what a lovely way to just give credit to the kindness shown you. That's what I thought too. Only you, Kim, would start from the half full place. And I mean, I understand that time has passed and
Right.
you
And
have
I
a,
do have perspective,
yeah.
absolutely. And I have to say, I'm so excited. I got a Bonnie comment because it's kind of like the Hollywood handshake.
Oh my
I
gosh.
wanted a
She
Bonnie
did not need
comment.
the encouragement, Kim, but that will carry Bonnie for days and days and days.
I'm so excited.
Well, we'll just wait for her next comment. We'll move on to the next
Okay.
question. I'm sure she's typing furiously. What do you know now, Kim, that you wish you could go back and tell your younger self wherever your younger self lands?
Yeah. I thought about this and I thought, probably the thing that I can say is what you would tell your younger self is the advice you end up giving your kids. And
Mm.
that the thing that I would say is recognize who you would go to for advice and how that is different from random opinions.
Oh my gosh,
and
you're so
that
wise, Kim.
and I think like today that relates to social media.
Mm,
You do not need to accept random opinions from people that you would not go to for advice.
mm.
And um and I look back, before social media. I mean, people can say anything they want to. I think that as someone who, like many women, kind of a people pleaser, and you want everyone to be happy and everything to be good, turns out, again, I'm not for everyone and everyone's not for me. It's not an obligation. And people can say whatever they want to say, might not be intended for you.
Yeah. Well, to add on to that, and then there's a comment from Bonnie waiting. So just hold your breath. But to
Okay.
add on to that is this idea of often when someone makes a snarky, crummy comment to you, it's really not about you. It's about
Exactly.
something to do with them.
Right.
And it's easier to say it out loud to someone else than to address it to yourself or to, figure out why am I feeling this way? So that's the other important thing is just it's probably really not about you, even though it feels like it's about you.
Right. I have this friend, and she will say, other people's opinions are none of your business. And like other people's opinions of you are none of your business. And sometimes, again, with you being in a public arena, people can make comments and may not have anything to do with you. And, and
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, here's your comment. And I'm sorry to tell you that even if you could do this, which I don't believe you will do, you can't do it this year because she won't be there. But she said, honey, can you come for Christmas?
Mm,
Maybe we'll do afternoon tea when you're in
I would
Fargo,
love that.
mother, with Kim, as
Yes,
opposed to expecting her to abandon her family for Christmas with us.
I would love that.
Well, then we'll make it happen. Okay, Kim, last question. What have been some of the most joyful aspects of being in your 50s? And I feel like you've sort of addressed it a little bit with your
Yeah.
appreciation because of the experience with your brother, but what else?
Shortly before I turned 50, and I'm 56 now, so I can actually say this has been accurate advice, but I had a friend who was in her 70s say, "Oh, the 50s were my favorite decade." And she just said, again, and these are generalizations, and I know they don't apply to everyone, but, generally you're healthy,
Mhm.
and generally your parents are still around and available to you. Generally, you've been able to see your children, start becoming the adults that they're becoming. Hopefully, you're at a place in your life where there's some stability,
Mhm.
career or relationship wise, and yet, you're young enough to still take chances and young enough to still travel if that's what you want to do, and young enough to still have, lots to look forward to. And um, I was thrilled to have her say that to me because I think so often we've heard, "Wah, wah, you're
Mhm.
50,
You're
over the
invisible,
hill."
you're done. Mhm.
Yeah, invisible woman, downhill slide. And I think there's a freedom to being 50. You're you, and you're who you are, and um, you don't need to be all things to all people.
Mhm.
You can narrow in on some of your interests also. I just treasure curiosity, um, and so I loved hearing that from her. And so I say that to you. The 50s are the best decade.
Thank you for that. I have heard that now from, oh, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 people, and what's so fascinating about it is that it really is a perspective shift, because you're right, not everybody's health is good, not
Right,
everybody is in a financially secure place, whatever,
right.
but if you just sort of presuppose that you are, I mean, I happen to be in that position. So,
Mhm.
for me, so much of the angst of my 30s and early 40s, I've been able to set down, and now I'm comfortable in this new time of my life, and so that curiosity piece is what's most interesting to me, is I feel like I'm standing on a cliff, but not looking down thinking, "Oh my gosh, I hope I don't fall." I'm looking out and up and saying, "How and where am I going next?"
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. That's a quote
absolutely.
that's attributed to different people, but, someone to love, meaningful work, and something to look forward to. How amazing is that? That's what it is.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, and we all know that, I mean, if we live to be 100, we're still young.
Yeah.
Really, I mean,
Yeah.
even if we live to be 90, that's
Yeah.
still a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, I feel a real blessing to be aging. I keep saying, I'm not unhappy to be aging, I'm just shocked to be aging.
Yes.
It's very shocking, but that kind of seems to resonate with everyone. So, once again, I am reminded that I'm really not that singular in how I think. I'm not
Turns
that
out.
unique. I think we're all shocked.
Yeah. So what age do you feel?
I think I feel 32.
Yeah.
How about you?
I was gonna say 34,
Yeah,
but also, those were ages where, like, my older 2 kids were still getting up during the night, and you're spread very thin. Like,
yes.
I'd way rather be where I'm at now.
I would too. I
Yeah.
would too, and I have to say, just going back to that sort of we're all shocked thing, when my nephew, who's now 11 or will be 11, turned 10, I called him and I said, "Mason, how does it feel to be 10?" And he's very serious and he said, "Honestly, not that much different than 9." And I thought, we should probably all age that way.
No truer words were spoken. Yeah.
I just loved so much that he took it so seriously. Oh, it was the best.
Yeah.
Okay, Kim, here is my invitation to you. Could we please, whether Bonnie comes along or not, could
Yes.
we please get together this spring when it's not so cold? We could go for a walk, we could have some coffee, And if she finds out when it's in my calendar, then she'll be along as well. But
I would love
I
that.
just it cannot
Yes.
be
No,
10 plus years before we
right.
run into each other again.
I would absolutely love that.
Well, thanks for taking time in your busy day to say yes to this. I just loved it, and I really loved your responses. They were thoughtful and really, really beautifully articulated, and I would have expected nothing less from you. So thank you.
Well, thank you. It was an honor to be asked, and I've enjoyed following these, and very happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
You're
Kim.
gonna
We'll talk
love
soon.
being in your 50s.
Yeah, I can't wait. So
Yeah.
I will connect with you in the new year. Everybody else, I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.